Far in the distance, the man did not smile. How had it happened? How had the shaft broken so easily? This had never happened before. But it was clear to see that it had, because the broken pieces lay in front of him and they needed to be mended. Without the repair, the machine was useless. It needed to be done. As he cursed his luck yet again, he watched the blacksmith turn the handle of the bellows. The faster the handle was turned, the brighter the fire glowed. He turned it again and time again, waiting for the furnace to bring the metal to the right temperature. First the metal glowed a dull orange, then a bright red, then a deep dazzling white that lit up the world as the night began to fall. Faster and faster he turned, and then, clasping the glowing metal in ancient blackened tongues, he ripped the broken shaft from the fire pit and began to hammer. Sparks flew in every direction as he hit one blow after another after another. He rolled the shaft from side to side and hit again and again and again. And then, as the metal cooled, he placed it back within the burning coals and waited for the white light to return. And then he began his work again. The echoes of the fearsome beating echoed around the rocky cliffs, and the air glowed like a fiery volcano. Again and again the hammer fell, until at last the blacksmith was content, and he plunged the metal shaft into a still pool of water. The water instantly boiled, and great plumes of steam rose into the still night. The air was full of evil hisses and crackles as the metal swiftly cooled, until it was dull and grey and ready to use once more. The blacksmith's job was done. He offered the metal back to the man, and also took in return many rupees. With lighter pockets, the man returned to his waiting monster and lifted the yellow hood, spanner in hand, and soon he too would be done. The road would soon be built. There was no time to waste and much money to be made. And it would all happen in the morning. Sapna couldn't wait for the morning. She couldn't sleep. She knew what Kuldeep had done and knew that it wouldn't last forever. He had played his part, and now it was her turn to play hers. She wasn't as strong as Kuldeep, but that wasn't important. She knew what she could do. It was the only thing she could do too. She was only one, true. But if she didn't try to stand up what was right in her world, why should others? And she walked in the dead of night, down from her home and into Kandikal. No one had seen her. She walked along the deserted street. No one had heard her. She made her way down the long flight of steps and onto the path far below. No one had noticed her. She walked along its length, walked past the watermill and over the tiny stone bridge. No one had missed her. No one knew she was there. And she kept on walking until she reached the turn in the path where the water came from the rock and brought life to the fields and the animals all around her. And there she stopped. And there she sat down. And there she waited. It was dark as the man switched on the engine. The great yellow metal monster stirred itself from its sleep and coughed, not once, not twice, but 3 times, until it roared itself into life as it had done the day before and the day before that also. And Sapna heard this too. Over the still night air floated the sounds of destruction as the great machine and its driver ploughed their way forward through the dark night, its lights glaring fiercely and searching out the next boulder, the next tree, the next building in their path. And now Sapna could hear the monster as it came closer, and she felt the earth beneath her shake with each terrible step it made. She closed her eyes, just as she had seen her brother do before, and wished and prayed and spoke words that only she could hear. She thought of her friends, her teachers, her country, her world, as the rumbling beneath her became more and more violent. She could feel it within her body, within her heart, within her very soul. But she did not move. Motionless, she sat and waited. She felt the glare of the light shine into her closed eyes and narrowed them as much in fear as in pain. The sound around her growled louder and louder like a whirling hurricane, and first she smelt, then felt the sickening exhaust gases wash over her, wave after wave after wave, and she did not move. She heard the engine rev, then rev again, as if in warning, and then she heard the man cry out in anger, "You! Get out of my way!" And still she did not move. And then silence. The bright light still blinded her, but now that the fearful noise had gone, she was deafened only by the silence of the night. Again the man called. He growled through his gritted, broken teeth, his voice quieter but more threatening than before, his spanner gripped tightly in his fist. "Get out of my way." And Sapna sat down, but lifted her head. And slowly she spoke. "The world has enough for everyone's needs, but not enough for everyone's greed. And now you have taken more than enough. Little girl, you need to move. A decision has been made, and you need to move. Now!" Sapna stared once again towards the machine and the man. It was getting lighter now, and she could see more clearly. She spoke from deep within her heart. "This is my land, my country, my future. It is the land of my friends and my family. It is the land of my children who are yet to be born, and their futures too. Nobody asked them. Nobody asked them about the forest. Nobody asked them about the mountains or the water or the houses or the pollution or the landslides. And nobody asked me." "Or me," called a voice from behind her. "Or me," cried another. "Or me." And Sapna turned, and in the dawn of a brand new day, saw close behind her her brother, Kuldeep, and behind him Amisha and Preeti, and behind her Ravi and Neelam and Susmita and Isha and Ronit and Kajal, and Mansi and Tonya and Auntie and Kunwa, and her own mother and father too. And as her eyes looked into the distance, she could see along the path she had so recently walked, and where before surely there had been none, a line made of hundreds of people sat together as one. And this time, they all looked towards Sapna. And Sapna looked at the man and then looked at the machine. The sun's rays shone its first light on their world and glinted upon the yellow metal monster. And they waited for Sapna to speak, waited for the silence to be broken. But Sapna looked at her world through her loving eyes and said nothing. She looked at the man and his machine. Both were still. There was nothing more to fear. But still she remained silent. Why? Because nothing more needed to be said. They had said it all. And now they weren't alone anymore. The man walked away from his metal monster and sat down beside Sapna. He looked at the little girl and looked deep into her eyes. Within her, he saw no anger, no hatred, no greed. And beyond her, all were silent and staring far into the distance, watching the new day dawn. Gently, he tossed the heavy spanner onto the ground and he wiped his hands. Sapna now turned towards the man and asked one question. Why? And as she held his gaze, he reached down deep into his pockets and pulled the folded bundle of notes and threw them onto the floor. For my family, he whispered. It's all I know. But this is for your family too, and showed the man the world around him with her outstretched arms. And this is for everyone. Once this is gone, we can never have it again. Build houses, build homes. Don't destroy them. Build futures, build lives. Don't waste them away. There is enough here for everyone. When we're born to share. Take what you need, but remember we all live within this world together. And tell your masters too. Tell them to see through open eyes, to see the true riches that we are given that lie all around us. Think about what we have and what we need, not about what we want that is driven by greed. And the man looked at the money that was cast upon the ground, and then he looked up at the mountains and the fields that filled his world, and all those sat with him. And side to side, together, they saw the true beauty around them, and they shared it as one. And all was quiet in the forest. The towering trees swayed gently in the morning breeze. Music from far, far away hung in the air and echoed across the mountainsides. It was the beginning of a bright new day. The dawn was breaking and the shadows of the night slowly crept away as the Indian sun rose from the east. And all in Kandikal was still.
You wanna see in the world, just like Gandhi. Be the change that you wanna see in the world, just like Gandhi. Be the change that you wanna see